Well, we had to break away then. You were just explaining about how you settled with Trump in the end. He didn't owe you money in the end because the Gulf War had broken out.
Well, the Gulf War broke out, and 6 weeks later, he attempted to terminate the contract because it was an act of war. I made a joke of it. I said it's not an act of war until Saddam Hussein, the leader in Iraq then, lands troops on the beaches of Atlantic City. But I called up Caesars, and they agreed to do the fight, and Trump threatened to sue me even though he had no ground.
And Caesars at the time was the venue, isn't it? It's now the MGM, but it was the venue at the time,
Absolutely.
wasn't it? Here
Where
in
all the
Vegas.
great fights
Yeah,
took place.
and they'd even built arenas to fight in
Right,
the car park.
the old
and,
tennis pavilion
yeah, exactly.
was turned into
For
an
people
arena.
that don't know the history of it, it was the place,
Right,
wasn't
all
it?
the Hagler, Hearns,
Yeah, exactly.
Hagler, Leonard, they all took place.
Yeah.
So we ended up, he said, look, I'm going to sue you if you go to Caesars. Crazy, even though he had no case. But this was the first birth of big pay-per-view. We had 15 million cable homes, and we in effect did 10%, 1,600,000.
And the fight was it Foreman Holyfield?
Foreman Holyfield.
It was Foreman. It was the biggest fight in the world at the time, really. Was it
the
apart
time.
from Tyson and Holyfield,
That is,
really?
well, but Tyson Holyfield came later.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, we ended up making a settlement with him where we took the gate, he put $1 million into the pot, and we ended up at the end of the day $2.5 million less than we would have realized.
Was Trump? Obviously, boxing's it's a ferocious business. It's like politics. There is politics in it. There's a lot of smoke screens in boxing. Was Trump good at it? Did he get it? Did he get the business of boxing?
Well,
Mark's out of 10.
I don't know. I think he realized, he knew instinctively what was a major event and what wasn't.
So he knew he got to have an eye for promotion. Then did he? Do
Well,
you think?
no, he had an eye for what the public would buy.
Right,
He
right.
was very good there. And Don King did a lot of fights with him, and he and Don could get along because they were both of the same ilk.
And what do you mean by that?
They weren't bound by the niceties of.
They were ruthless.
Of
They
people.
were ruthless.
Yeah, well, I don't know about ruthless, but they were not. They didn't conform to the niceties that businessmen should in order to properly have the market control the situation.
But in many ways, he jumped out, didn't he? I mean, He couldn't deal with the heat in the kitchen. He didn't stay in it very long, Donald Trump, did he?
Well, he didn't stay in it because people caught on. I mean, after that fight happened, Holyfield Foreman, I was reluctant to do any big fight with him, and so was
Because he moved the
Dan
goalposts.
Duva,
Yeah.
because you couldn't rely on a deal that he made.
Yeah. Yesterday or Monday rather, in your office, the video cut out, and we were just talking at the very end about the as Fox's finest go past us. It's great to have Fox and ESPN working together, isn't it? Amazing. Just the video cut out the other day. I ran out of space. People were asking. We wanted more of Bob. We were talking about the mystique of the heavyweight division,
Right.
and I missed the last couple of minutes off. And the final thing you were talking about was, there's nothing like heavyweight boxing. There's nothing on earth like it in any sport.
Well, as a boxing promoter, I promote great fighters in the lighter weight division, like Lomachenko, unbelievable, Terence Crawford. But after they win a fight, and if they were to go into a bar, they couldn't say, "I'll beat every man in the any man in the house." They can't say that.
But the giant human beings
But a
can.
giant human being can, because he's the heavyweight champion.
Before we started recording this, you were saying that the projections for this contest are off the charts, but both here and in the UK. And there's a sense of the very big about this, isn't there? Does it remind you of Pacquiao and Mayweather as the last? Because obviously you were involved in that.
Pacquiao and Mayweather was sort of different, and it didn't have the firepower behind it that this does, because we have, in the first time ever, two major networks, Fox and ESPN,
Yeah.
working hand in glove together.
And they're rivals,
promoting
aren't they?
this event. Well, they're rivals, but they're not rivals. In other words, why are they able to do this? I keep asking myself, to work together. Because, for example, American football, which is so big. Now, Fox does football and ESPN does football. And they will always promote the other guy's fights. So if Fox is doing a Sunday fight, they will say, on Monday night, ESPN has this great fight. So they now learn that they can get more traction by cooperating with each other than fighting with each other. And that was not the case for years when we were bound with the premium network, because HBO and Showtime would always look to fight each other and not really cooperate. And that really screwed up the way the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight was conducted.
What's your take on the way these two men have conducted themselves so far? We're about to see the press conference, and I do expect the masks to come off today because they haven't been face to face yet. And
Yes, they have been face to face twice.
This week?
No.
Oh, no, I meant this week.
Yeah, but again, and that's one of the gratifying things, both of them. They know that their business is to sell a fight. And they are super salesmen. In addition to being great athletes, they're super salesmen. And they will sell the fight without trash talk, without any kind of fake histrionics.
What's been nice so far this week, it's all been about father, lover, family guy with both of them. But maybe today, the Wednesday, is the time for the Gypsy King and the Bronze Bomber to rise. I know you're not into pushing and shoving at press conferences and fights breaking out, and I've seen you with Bob Bennett, the Nevada State Athletic Commission Executive Director today. There's fines that go on for these things. It's a very big fight. I imagine both these men are earning in the region of $40 million, I don't know, depending on pay-per-view. Is that right?
That is correct. But again,
on the money or the behavior?
These fighters are not animals. I mean, if you have a press conference with top basketball players who are playing against each other, top American football players, top soccer players, you don't expect them to exchange blows in a press conference. And professional boxers should conduct themselves in that manner, and you shouldn't expect them to do different. Because you're asking me questions where you're really going to be disappointed if they don't push and shove each other.
No, I'm not. But what I do know is that when those moments, rather like the press conference in Los Angeles, where they both, when Deontay lost his rag, when they were doing, he accidentally actually poked Tyson in the eye by mistake. Do you remember? And it all kind of kicked off a little bit. That did tens of millions of views.
I don't care about that.
Okay, that's what
I don't want
yeah.
boxers, athletes that
you want them to be humanized,
act like animals.
Yeah, thank you.
I want them to act like professional sportsmen.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. No, I completely agree. It'd be remiss of me not to ask you. I mean, you and I have some very deep conversations about life and fighting and growing up and why people fight and all those things, some mature conversations. One of the things I've got to ask you about is you signing Jarrell Miller for some fights. Obviously, he's a bad boy because of what he did last year. What was your... Obviously, there's a loophole because he wasn't licensed by NSAC, by New York, rather.
It wasn't a loophole because, yes, he wasn't licensed, but look what we did. We told him that if we take you on, you in effect are going to serve a suspension for 1 year.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which is what he did.
Okay.
That would be the penalty.
So he won't
that
fight
would
till
have gotten.
July anyway, yeah.
He won't fight till the end of May.
Oh, it's May, is it? So,
May.
but have you said to him, Bob, specifically that if you find erythropoietin in his body again, you are not dealing with?
No,
this is his second chance, isn't it?
He told me that he would never have taken this. That the people that were handling him put it into his body.
Okay,
And
so it's
it wasn't
inadvertent
him.
from his view, right? Okay.
And there's no reason for me to doubt it.
Okay.
And he knows that if he is discovered with that type of substance or
He's
anything
finished,
like
isn't he,
that,
really?
He's finished.
Yeah. No, because it is one of those weird things that, I mean, I know Jarrell years ago from kickboxing as well, when he fought Mirko Krokop and all sorts. And he's a terrific character. He's a natural heavyweight.
Right.
Give anyone problems. Like your guy Pulev is going to give Anthony Joshua problems.
I think he will.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think Joshua will win in 7 rounds by knockout.
I don't think he wins 7 rounds. I don't think he knocks out anybody anymore because he's afraid to take a chance. That's why he didn't really fight that second fight with Ruiz. He ran around the ring, and the fat Andy couldn't keep up with him. That wasn't a fight. That was a track meet.
So you don't give Joshua any chance against Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury either?
Or
then?
Pulev.
Or Pulev.
I think he's finished. I think Dylan White is a much more appealing foe for either Wilder or Fury than Joshua is. I really believe.
So
that.
you would sign Fury? You would sign Dillian White to fight either of them then? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
surely Dillian White deserves his chance at the WBC. Anyway.
Right.
He's waited about 3.5 years.
well, that happens. It happens.
Yeah.
But again, Dylan White, I think, right now, is the fresher, more elite fighter.
Do you think he beats Joshua? Do you think White beats Joshua in the second fight? Do you think White's really okay?
Yeah. I think Joshua has regressed, and I don't care what anybody says. To lose the way he did with Andy Ruiz, who at best is a little bit better than average heavyweight. I mean, you think Pulev has any problem with Ruiz?
No, I don't actually. I think he's a very experienced guy. He's a very big man. I've been to see him in Berlin. I went to visit him, I think. He's a great character, fantastic character, great ego on him, very experienced, very durable,
Right.
not the most exciting in the world, but
No.
very hard to beat,
Right.
you know?
Right. And I see, again, Anthony Joshua, is it possible that what we've been seeing isn't really Anthony Joshua? I don't know.
Who does Jarrell Miller, just to finish off this round with the heavyweights, who does Jarrell Miller fight then
A
next?
French guy named Takam.
Okay, Carlos Takam,
Yeah.
the French African. Carlos Takam, that Joshua fought.
Yes.
Tough as old boots he is
Yeah,
as well.
Right, yes.
Tough as old boots. That's a good fight.
Yeah.
So is that signed already?
Well, that's what we're
What
putting
you're
together.
working on? And will that be here?
And no, it'll be in New York.
Okay, cool. Finally, just a very quick one on Fury. If he wins this, where'd you take him? What's the
Wins
plan?
this, if he wins this, unless Wilder pulls the plug, we do the rematch, and then I probably, hopefully, will arrange for him to fight either White or Pulev.
But
There won't be a Joshua by that
no, but
time.
no, all right, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, you do have a crystal ball in some ways, but you don't have the ultimate one, you know.
Right.
But if Joshua does beat Pulev, let's say Joshua does beat Pulev, are you happy to see Fury and Joshua fight?
Yeah, but I'm going to put my foot down because I know that Eddie Hearn, it's all about the money, and he's going to want to put the fight in Saudi Arabia. Now, this is not a political statement. I have nothing against doing a fight from time to time in Saudi Arabia. But to grow the boxing business, to be fair to your fans, that fight belongs either in the United States or the United Kingdom. It doesn't belong in some foreign place, maybe because there's a couple of extra shekels involved.
Have you had the Saudis contact you at all for wanting to do fights over there? The Saudi Arabians ever contact you about having fights in the Middle East?
Well, Saudi Arabians don't contact anybody. You contact them.
Okay.
So we haven't contacted anybody in the Saudi. But again, I don't want to make it a political statement. We would do a fight here and there in the Saudi, in Abu Dhabi or in Saudi Arabia. Got nothing against it. But a major, huge fight like that, where the fans on both sides of the pond, I mean, assuming it's Fury and Joshua, on both sides of the pond, have spent enormous amounts of money attending their fights and so forth. That fight deserves to be in one or two places, the United States or the United
UK.
Kingdom.
Arguably one of the fights of the year is going to be Teofimo Lopez and your guy Vasily Lomachenko. How exciting!
Teofimo is my guy also.
No, I mean, it's an amazing matchup. It's a pound-for-pound fight, of course.
Yeah.
Teofimo is an extraordinary, striking, he only fights one way.
Yeah.
And this could be the defining fight for Vasily at lightweight at 135
Absolutely,
pounds.
it will be.
Yeah, because the style. I mean, Ryan Garcia is a great fight for Vasily as well. He looks promising.
Yeah.
He looks like he'll fight Jorge Linares. Anyway, it's such an amazing division at the moment.
With
lightweight.
Ryan Garcia,
Yeah.
he's tremendous charisma. We'll have to see if he's really there, how he performs with Linares.
Exactly.
That's the test.
But it's a
Everything
21-year-old
else-
against a 34-year-old, Bob, remember? You know, Linares has been through the mill.
But Linares,
He's a beautiful
professional fighter.
boxer. But it's good matchmaking.
Absolutely.
Lopez and Loma. There's the headline. Lopez and Loma. When is that going to be?
It looks now like it's going to be the end of May 30th.
New York?
And
The
in
Garden?
all probability in New York.
Yeah.
I know Barkley is bidding for the fight,
Okay.
and the Garden, but Top Rank has always had a close relationship with Madison Square Garden. Indeed, the first fight that we did as Top Rank, because we had a predecessor company before that, was in Madison Square
And
Garden.
who were the fighters?
Ali Bonavena.
There you go. Muhammad Ali and Bonavena. That is incredible, really. And that is 50...
December 7th, 1970.
That is 50 years ago this year. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Finally, I got to get you to say it on camera. Is it true that you think that I don't know shit about boxing?
No, you know about boxing, but all you guys in the media are opinionated, and you deal in fake news, as my president would say.
Come on, give me that thing. Come on, Gareth, you don't know shit about boxing.
Well, Gareth, I can't say, I would say, Gareth, you know shit about boxing, just the way most media, I would say that about. They don't know shit about boxing either. It's their opinions, but very often it's not mine.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Gareth, it's a pleasure.
Can I